Operation Epic Fury.
President Trump just sent a message that echoed around the entire planet, and every enemy of America heard it loud and clear. Operation Epic Fury has struck over 5,000 Iranian targets, but here's what the fake news won't tell you. Donald Trump is deliberately holding back Iran's most devastating targets as a warning. The MAGA Doctrine is now on full display, and our adversaries are absolutely terrified. Iran's foreign minister just admitted they are done negotiating, but that's not the bombshell. What our intelligence just intercepted from Tehran could put every American city on high alert tonight. We're already seeing signs of that in New York. Now, this is not just about Iran, folks. This is about your family's safety, your wallet as well. For years, under the disastrous Biden administration, Iran-backed terrorists attacked hundreds of commercial vessels, driving up oil prices and making everything more expensive at the grocery store, at the gas pump, everywhere. And President Trump just said it himself, Operation Epic Fury will deliver lower oil and gas prices for American families. That's more money back in your pocket. But here's where it gets personal. Our intelligence agencies just intercepted encrypted Iranian communications that appear to be activation codes for sleeper cells right here on American soil. These are not hypothetical threats. These are terrorists who flooded across Biden's open border, and they are awaiting their orders. Senator Schumer and the Democrats, they've actually blocked the apparatus designed to track these cells. So think about that. They're actively preventing us from protecting American cities, your neighborhood, and your family. Oh, yes. And speaking of national security threats, there's a uranium crisis brewing that makes Iran look like a sideshow. And here's what Washington doesn't want you connecting. While we're hitting Iranian targets, America burns through 50 million pounds of uranium per year, but mines less than 1 million. That's a 50-to-1 national security gap that could cripple our nuclear subs and warheads. And on January 14th of this year, the president signed a Section 232 executive order, an emergency declaration to secure America's uranium supply chain. Days before, the Department of Energy locked in $2.7 billion in new contracts. It's not energy policy, it's called survival. And Atomic Minerals, trading as ATMMF in the United States and ATOM in Canada, holds key ground across the Colorado Plateau with a team that engineered the 2012 $654 million Rough Rider uranium sale to Rio Tinto. Because when the missiles start flying, uranium dependency could be our Achilles heel. There's a link below for the full briefing. You need to see it. Now, here's what the corporate media is desperately trying to bury. A former U.S. Army Pacific commander just came forward to reveal that Trump's hard power moves, they're not just about Iran or Venezuela. They're sending a direct warning shot to communist China. He said, quote, "No one should ever underestimate the full arsenal of capabilities that the United States has. The combination of Midnight Hammer and Absolute Resolve has reestablished American deterrence across the entire globe." I'm going to show you exactly what the experts said and what President Trump himself is saying. First up, President Trump said there is zero disagreement between him and Vice President Vance on the Iran action.
Disagreement between yourself and your vice president when it comes to U.S. action in Iran?
I don't think so, no. No, we get along very well on this. He was, I would say, philosophically a little bit different than me. I think he was maybe less enthusiastic about going, but he was quite enthusiastic. But I felt it was something we had to do. I didn't feel we had a choice. If we didn't do it, they would have done it to us. I felt, based on the negotiations that were being had by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Marco and Pete, and everybody was involved, I felt that they were looking to tap us along before they hit, and I thought they were going to hit. And if they hit us first, that would have been a very bad thing.
Oh, yes, it would have been a very bad thing. Vice President Vance laid out plain and simple. Trump knows exactly what America is capable of.
On air, but the President of the United States knows what we're able to do. He knows that we have much greater capacity to inflict damage on the Iranian nuclear program, but also on various missiles that threaten our troops. As you've seen, they've been launching those at our troops for much of the past 3 days. So I think the president has made it very clear that the United States has a lot of optionality here. And, we could go for a little bit longer. We could go for a lot longer. But I think the president just wants to make it clear to the Iranians and to the world that he is not going to rest until he accomplishes that all-important objective of ensuring that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, not just for the next few years, not just because we obliterated Fordow or some other enrichment facility, but because the Iranians themselves commit long-term to not building a nuclear weapon.
Yeah, it's just a commitment. And Trump's unity with the vice president sets the stage for the military strategy. We're going to shift to the domestic consequences and how troops are tasked at home. Here is President Trump. 1.3 million active duty troops.
They've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown, because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up. But we've got very, very good intelligence into that. We know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period, but we have them under, we've got them, we're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
And the shutdown continues. Our national security risk increases. With internal security a focus, what impact do those potential sleeper cells have within our borders? We're going to get to that in a moment. But first, you got to see this meme someone posted. Operation Epic Fury in full effect. Yep, that pretty much sums it up. Don't mess with the United States. Don't mess with Donald Trump. Yeah, maybe they should have rethought those assassination attempts, right? As we delve deeper, the scope of Operation Epic Fury becomes clear. We're going to examine the strategic strategy behind the actions. Here's President Trump talking about deliberately avoiding striking Iran's most important targets.
We've struck over 5,000 targets to date, some of them very major targets, and we've left some of the most important targets for later in case we need to do it. If we hit them, it's going to take many years for them to be rebuilt, having to do with electricity production and many other things. So we're not looking to do that if we don't have to. But they're the kind of things that are very easy to hit, but very devastating if they are hit. We are waiting to see what happens before we hit them. We could take them all out in one day.
In one day is all it takes, but President Trump is holding back. He knows the human cost of destroying the entire infrastructure and now the geopolitical implications. Former U.S. Army Pacific commander says Trump's hard power move on Venezuela sends a warning shot to China and other enemies. Catherine Herridge reporting.
After the operation in Venezuela, there was some reporting from an unnamed security guard from the Maduro regime who described the radar went out, drones came in, helicopters came in, and then he described this kind of intense sound wave. Does that description sound credible to you?
Yes. Again, I would just state that no one should ever underestimate the full arsenal of capabilities that the United States has. I mean, I think the story of the helicopter being hit and then, being able to recover back to a landing platform at sea, is a tribute to the bravery of it. But it's also, that doesn't happen overnight. That is a developed capability over time. And these are the kinds of things that the U.S. military spends an inordinate amount of time practicing and doing. So again, back to, the combination of Midnight Hammer and absolute resolve has, in my view, reestablished deterrence that the United States can now apply across the globe for the things it needs to do to secure the Western Hemisphere and support our allies and partners. There's no question we need that network of allies and partners, Catherine, to help counter what the Chinese are doing. In fact, I would say it's probably the one thing that we enjoy and they do not enjoy. And so that counterweight against them is a really important application.
Has President Trump's use of hard power sort of changed the landscape?
I believe so. I mean, again, back to those two operations right there, I would say the application of those hard power operations are demonstrations of capability, will, political will, and military will to execute the operation. I actually think what President Trump and this administration have done is created strategic unpredictability, and that sowing of doubt and that feeding of paranoia into the minds of our adversaries is an important element of deterrence. If they don't know what you're going to do and you retain all of your options, and then no one should ever underestimate the lethality, reach, and staying power of the U.S. military, those two alone create a global deterrence that I think we needed returned, and it has returned with those two operations and then the written document.
Keep them guessing. Keep them guessing. Former Commander, U.S. Army Pacific General Charles Flynn exposes the stealth war on America. Says the Venezuela raid was a warning shot to our enemies. So in the global chessboard, power moves, Trump actions in South America signal broader implications for nations like China. And of course, what's even more terrifying is what's happening at home. We touched on this briefly yesterday, and now the story is expanding, it's developing. We have more news outlets confirming that the U.S. has reportedly intercepted encrypted conversations from the Iranian government meant to trigger sleeper cells across the West, including inside the United States. That's according to ABC. Thanks to the Democrats, we have no clue how many of these sleeper cells are in the United States as Schumer continues to hold this nation hostage.
Meantime, an alarming report of threats outside Iran. ABC News reports Iran may be activating sleeper cells. Quote, the U.S. has intercepted encrypted communications believed to have originated in Iran that may serve as an operational trigger for sleeper assets outside the country. If true, further illustrating Secretary of State Marco Rubio's point, we are fighting a terrorist government.
The United States is currently engaged in an operation targeting the world's leading hostage taker, the world's leading sponsor of terrorism. They are trying to hold the world hostage. They are attacking their neighbors. They are attacking neighboring countries, their energy infrastructure, their civilian population. They're attacking embassies. This is a terrorist government. This is a terroristic regime. And we are seeing them conduct terrorism using nation-state elements, using weapons like missiles and one-way attack drones. And the objective of this mission is to destroy their ability to continue to do that.
But Iran's...
And we have some disturbing word out of New York we're going to get to in a second on those sleeper cells, new developments, more so than yesterday, which is interesting, meaning it's amping up. And the discussion of sleeper cells adds another layer of urgency, especially with those intercepted communications. And now Putin says that Russia warned many times that attempts to destabilize the Middle East will threaten the global energy system and global economy. Of course, President Trump does have a solution for that.
Out right away that Russia warned many times that attempts at destabilizing the situation in the Middle East will inevitably threaten the global energy complex, will lead to a spike in oil prices, disrupt supply chains across the world, and will disrupt long-term investment plans. This is obviously happening right now because we see...
It's happening right now. And we have this from the Iranian foreign minister, says negotiations now off the table completely.
I don't think the question of talking with Americans or negotiation with Americans once again would be on the table, because we have a very bitter experience of talking with Americans. After 3 rounds of negotiation, and after the American team in the negotiation, said itself that we made a big progress, still they decided to attack us. So I don't think talking with Americans anymore would be on our agenda anymore.
You had a bitter experience at the negotiating table. Well, now you're having a bitter experience every single day in Iran. UAE air defenses right now actively engaging incoming Iranian missiles and drones over the country. The Ministry of Defense says all those loud explosions people are hearing are their systems successfully intercepting the threats. And now we explore Trump's military plans, how they could directly benefit American households with lower costs on essential goods, counterpoint to what Vladimir Putin just said.
In recent years, the regime and its terror proxies have launched attacks on hundreds of commercial vessels. We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices for American families. We've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done.
Lower prices on the other side of the rainbow. While the international focus on stabilizing global markets, back at home, New York facing its own challenges. Outside Gracie Mansion, this just a few moments ago, New York Police Department bomb squad has shut down 10 blocks near Gracie Mansion after a suspicious package was found in a nearby park. Gracie Mansion is now being evacuated, according to Fox News. Nick Sortor writes, New York is in an absolute spiral, and it's sad to see.
Seeing that now live outside of Gracie Mansion here in New York City. CB, what are we learning?
Hey, Sandra. Well, we are here in New York City's Upper East Side neighborhood. We're actually a couple blocks down from Gracie Mansion, which, yes, is the home of New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani. Right now, officers are investigating a suspicious device that was found in a popular park nearby called Carl Schurz. We've seen officers block off this area to traffic, and we've got members of the NYPD bomb squad and another command unit that are out here. Again, a suspicious device was located in a nearby park. Someone called it in. I'm told this by a police source, and now officers are investigating. No one is being allowed to drive through this area. And we've also seen, we've also noticed that officers have bomb sniffing dogs that are moving through this area on side streets, going by homes just to look and see whether anything suspicious is uncovered. Obviously, this comes at a very heightened time for people who live in this area, because we know a terrorism investigation is underway after the FBI says 2 suspects brought homemade bombs to an anti-Muslim protest in New York City on Saturday. Thankfully, neither detonated, but police have said one of them could have caused a devastating loss of life because it contained a substance called TATP. We also know the investigation into these 2 suspects has now expanded into Pennsylvania, where police say the two men were from. We know overnight there was a controlled detonation at a Pennsylvania storage unit where officers also found more homemade bombs. And now the latest update coming here out of New York City today, the Upper East Side neighborhood, just a couple blocks down from New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani's official residence, Gracie Mansion. Officers telling us a suspicious device was located in a nearby park, and now they are investigating. Again, all the streets have been...
So now you know the full picture on this Tuesday. But here's the truth the establishment doesn't want you to understand. President Trump didn't just strike Iran, he rewrote the rules of global power. While Biden projected weakness for 4 years, allowing Iran to build proxies, attack shipping lanes, and plant sleeper cells in American cities, Trump took decisive action in just days. And he's not even using our most powerful options yet. The president revealed we're holding back strikes on Iran's electricity production and critical infrastructure. Why? Because he wants them to know surrender now or face total devastation. Iran's foreign minister just admitted they won't negotiate anymore. They know they've lost. Putin is warning about global economic chaos. Our enemies are scrambling. But this is what peace through strength actually looks like. My friends, this is true. The MAGA doctrine is simple. America wins or our enemies pay the price. President Trump and Vice President Vance are completely unified on this mission. They see what we all see, a world that forgot to fear American resolve. And those days are over. But we need your help to spread the truth the mainstream media refuses to report. And that's why we set up this exclusive insider line. You can text raw feed to 844-840-4963 to be the first to know. Don't wait for the algorithm. Don't wait for the notification. You wait for me to send you the message directly to your phone so you never miss anything. And then you can share that text message, you can forward it to your friends, and give them the intel that they need to survive this. And now, share the video, this very video, with every patriot that you know. And I want you to drop a comment, and I want you to tell me, do you support President Trump's decisive action against Iran? Simple yes or no. And if you want to show your support for America First journalism, check out the Next News merch shelf below this video, and make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that notification bell because the next bombshell could drop any minute. I'm Gary Franchi. Stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.